Good morning, boys and girls. For reading, we're going to go ahead and continue on informational text. An informational text is a story where the pictures match the text. The story I will be reading today is called A Desert in Bloom. The desert is hot. The desert is dry. How can desert flowers grow there? The desert soil is full of seeds. In summer, the ground is hot and dry. The seeds do not grow. In fall, the ground gets cool from cloudy days. The seeds do not grow. In winter, the ground gets soaked with rain. The seeds start to grow. In spring, the ground gets warm from the sun. Colorful flowers bloom. When summer returns, it gets hot. The flowers die. Their seeds rest in the ground until spring comes again. Now you know how desert flowers grow. Next, we're going to move on to phonics. We're working on consonants B and J. We're going to be rhyming. So let's go ahead and sound out this word. P-A-M. Pam. Can you think of a word that rhymes with Pam that begins with the letter B? Bam. Can you think of another word that rhymes with Pam that begins with the J? Jam. Let's sound this word out. At. Mat. Can you tell me a word that rhymes with mat that begins with the letter B or J? Bat. Let's look at our next word. Let's sound it out. Ox. Fox. Can you tell me a word that rhymes with fox that begins with the letter B or J? Box. Let's look at our next word. Let's sound it out. It. Pit. Can you tell me a word that rhymes with pit that begins with the letter B or J? Bit. Remember, rhyming words sound the same at the end. Let's sound this word out. P-E-N. Pen. Can you tell me a word that rhymes with pen that begins with the letter B? Ben. Ben is the name of a person, so the letter B needs to be capitalized. Can you tell me another word that rhymes with pen that begins with the letter B or J? Jen. Jen is also a name, so the letter J needs to be capitalized. Let's sound out the next word. K-A-B. Cab. Can you think of a word that rhymes with cab that starts with the letter B or J? Jab. Let's sound out the next word. S-E-T. Set. Can you think of a word that rhymes with set that begins with the letter B or J? Bet. Can you think of another word that rhymes with set? Jet. Last word. D-I-M. Dim. Can you tell me a word that rhymes with dim that begins with the letter B or J? Jim. Jim is also a name of a person, so the letter J needs to be capitalized. Good job. Next, we're going to move on to vowel team pairs. So here we have two vowels side by side. When two vowels go walking, sometimes the first one does the talking and the second one is silent. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross out the last vowel in the vowel pair. That means this one is going to be silent. It's not going to say anything. And the first one, I'm going to put a macron on top. That means it's going to say its name. So if we sound these two letters out together, it should say E. So let's read this word. Tr-e. Tree. When two vowels go walking, sometimes the first one does the talking and the second vowel is going to be quiet. What sound do these two letters make when they're together? E. Let's sound it out. Eat. Eat. Let's look at the next vowel pairs. We have O and A. When two vowels go walking, sometimes the first one does the talking and the second one is going to be quiet. So let's sound it out. O. So now let's sound out the word. B-o-t. Boat. Good job. Let's move on to the next one. We have A and I. When two vowels go walking, sometimes the first one does the talking and the second one is going to be silent. What sound does A-I make? A. Let's sound out the word. R-A-N. Rain. Let's look at the next vowel pair, A-Y. Remember, sometimes Y is a vowel. Usually when it's at the end of a word, it will be a vowel. So here we have A and Y. When two vowels go walking, sometimes the first vowel does the talking and the second one is quiet. What sound does A-Y make? A. So let's sound it out. P-A. Play. Last one. We have the vowel pair O-E. When two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking and the second one is silent. So what sound does O-E make when they're together? O. So let's sound out the word. T-O. Toe. Good job. Next, we're going to move on to the reading packets. I'm so curious. Directions. Using the sentence starters, write your questions. So here's our sentence starters. Does she? How do you? What do you? Do you? Number 1, ask a question about Coach. They have a sentence written for you. You can trace that one. Does she slide? Can you think of another question about Coach? And can you use one of the sentence starters? Yes. What do you catch? Or you can say, how do you slide? Remember, when you're writing, the first word in the sentence needs to be capitalized. How do you slide? I don't have space, so I'm going to write at the bottom. Remember, you can copy my sentence or you can write your own. When we are asking a question, what do we need at the end of the sentence? A question mark. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Ask a question about softball. Can you think of a question using one of the sentence starters? Do you like to play? Remember to use your finger spaces. Do you like to play? What do I need at the end of the sentence? A question mark. Let's look at number 3. Ask a question about catching. So I already used does she. I use how do you. I use do you. So now we can use what do you. What do you catch? Remember, the first word in the sentence needs to be capitalized. What do you catch? Okay, good job. Let's move on to the next page. Answer a question. Directions. Use the words below to answer the following questions. Here's our word bank. Wind, tall, coach. Number 1, why can coach catch high balls? She is tall. Go ahead and trace it. Number 2, how fast does coach run? She runs like the wind. Number 3, who leads the softball team? The coach leads the team. Good job. Next, we're going to move on to math. For math, we're going to be sorting 3D figures. Jackson puts 2 green blocks and 2 blue blocks on a rug. He wants to make 2 groups of blocks in 2 different ways. How can he sort the blocks? So if we're looking at our blocks, can you think of one way that we can put them into 2 groups? Yes, by color. So I can put the blue sphere over here and the blue cube over here. On the other side, I can put the green sphere and the green cube. Can you think of another way that we can group or sort these shapes? Yes, we can go ahead and group them by their characteristics. For example, this one and this one, the 2 spheres are round. So I can put the shapes that are round on this side, and then I can put the shapes that are not round on this side. Good job, boys and girls. You learned how to sort objects 2 different ways, by color and by characteristics. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next page. We're going to watch a quick little video.
Are all these blocks the same? How are they different? There are 3 shapes in this picture. There are balls, cones, and a box. There are also 3 different colors. There are red shapes, blue shapes, and a yellow shape. What are some ways we could sort these objects? Think about this question as you do the activity that comes next.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Number 1, circle the shapes that are round. Can you find the objects that are round? Yes, all the spheres. For number 2, we're gonna circle the shapes that are not round. Can you find the shapes that are not round? What is it called? A cube. Good job. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next page. Number 3, circle all the round shapes that are green. Okay, this one's round, but it's not green. This one is. Can you find some other round green shapes? Yes, right here. There's 3 of them. Number 4, circle all the blue shapes that are not round. So we need to look for the blue shapes. Here's a blue shape. Is it round? No, good job. What about this blue shape? It's round. Okay, so we only had 2 blue shapes that are not round. Number 5, look at the shapes in each row, and we're going to draw an X on the shape that does not belong. Looking at these shapes here, can you tell me which shape does not belong? Yes, the cone does not belong. Oh, I'm supposed to draw an X. How do you know that the cone does not belong? Because it's a different shape. Good job. Number 6. We're going to draw an X on the shape that doesn't belong. Which one doesn't belong? The sphere. How do you know the sphere doesn't belong? Because it's a different shape than the others. Number 7. Which shape doesn't belong? The cylinder. Even though it's the same color, it's not the same shape. Number 8. Which of these does not belong? The cone. Why does the orange cone not belong? Because the other shapes are yellow and this is the only orange one. Okay, number 9. Draw an X on the shape that does not belong in the group. Looking at these shapes, can you tell me which one does not belong? Yes, the cone does not belong. The other shapes are all the same except the cone. Number 10, which one does not belong? The red cone. Good job. Number 11, we need to find 2 different ways to sort the shapes. Circle shapes to show one way to sort. Draw X's on shapes to show another way to sort. How can I sort these shapes? Yes, I can sort them by color, so I can put all the blue ones together. And I can put all the green ones together. What is another way that I can sort these shapes? Yes, by their characteristic. So if they're round, they go together. So I'm going to go ahead and put an X in all of the shapes that are round. Are cones round? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and cross those out as well. Are cubes round? No. So I'm going to go ahead and use a different colored X for the shapes that are not round. Good job, boys and girls. You learned how to sort shapes. Now we're going to move on to our math packet. Number 1, circle the triangles. Can you find the triangles? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. Next, we need to put an X on the rectangles. Number 2, draw a circle around the hexagons. A hexagon is a shape that has 6 sides. Is this a hexagon? Is this a hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Next, we need to draw a line under the circles. The last step, put an X on the squares. Good job. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to science. For science, we're going to be talking about living things, and we're going to watch a quick video on animals and their life cycles.
Science adventure team. We work from a clubhouse cemetery, exploring our world and its mysteries. Lifelong learning, discovery, untamed science, new adventuring.
Oh, and here it comes, and inquiry on.
Hey, my name is Brandon. Do all baby animals look like their parents?
Okay, everyone to stations. Haley, what do you have?
Well, animals go through a life cycle. They can grow, change, and reproduce.
Yeah, and some animals look like miniature versions of their parents. They grow and change by getting bigger, learning to eat new things, and becoming adults that look even more like their parents. Other animals start off looking very different from their parents, but they all end up looking like their parents when they grow up. Like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, or a tadpole growing into a frog. And when an animal changes that much, you don't just call it growing up, you call it metamorphosis.
Hey, we got something on the feed.
Take a look at this amazing metamorphosis. This little dragonfly larva hatched from an egg underwater and has been swimming around its whole life. But soon something amazing will happen. It will crawl up out of the water onto a piece of grass like this, and its wet body will dry up into a kind of shell. When it finally finds a way to wiggle its way out, it transforms into a beautiful dragonfly with wings. So instead of swimming, that dragonfly can fly. Metamorphosis. What a change. Back to you at the clubhouse.
I wonder if there's another way we can think about this.
Your life is started every day. Not everything is born in the same way. Some look like their parents, it's easy to tell. Some start out as eggs and then hatch from their shell. We all have a life cycle, beginning to end. We grow up and change, and then it starts over again. Some organisms do more than grow up. They may change from one thing into something else. It's called metamorphosis, it happens a lot. Caterpillars to butterflies or tadpoles to frogs. We all have a life cycle, beginning to end. We grow up and change, and then it starts over again. We grow up and change, and then it starts over again.
Alright, so now we know that all animals go through a life cycle. They grow, change, and reproduce.
We saw that some animals start out looking like smaller versions of their parents.
And then they grow and get bigger and become an adult. And some animals go through metamorphosis, where they change and look completely different than they looked before.
So until next time, never stop exploring your world. Hey, look at this.
Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to sorting animals and plants.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Hampton. Do you like learning about different types of animals? Today, we're going to look at some animals and plants found in Texas and talk about how they are alike and different. It's important to know this because there are many types of animals and plants all around us, and also many animals and plants that are mostly found in Texas. It's helpful for us to learn about things that make them special. Have you ever seen this animal? This is called a Texas longhorn. What's something you notice about the Texas longhorn? Maybe you notice its horns. The Texas longhorn is known for its huge horns, which can be up to 7 feet long. Does this animal look familiar? This is called a 9-banded armadillo. What's something interesting you notice about this animal? The armadillo's nose is one thing that makes it special. Another thing that makes the armadillo special is that when it's scared, it can jump 3 to 4 feet straight in the air. That's probably about as tall as you. And what do we call this creature? That's right, this is a butterfly. We call this type of butterfly a monarch butterfly. What do you notice about this butterfly? The monarch butterfly has a beautiful orange and black pattern on its wings. Have you ever seen a monarch butterfly? Now let's take a look at a few plants. Here's a star cactus, a pecan tree, and a cardinal flower. Can you put these 3 plants in order from smallest to largest? That's right, the cardinal flower is the smallest, next is the star cactus, and the pecan tree is the largest. What can you observe about the colors of these plants? How do you think the cardinal flower got its name? The word cardinal is a word for a dark red color, and this flower is definitely a beautiful red color. Let's sort these plants by color. Which ones have a bright color, and which ones do not? In today's video, we looked at some different kinds of animals and plants found in Texas. We noticed that they each have features that make them special, and we talked about their size and color. What animals and plants do you notice growing around you? Next time you're outside, take a look at some of the animals and plants you see. What are some things that make them different? How about the same? Do they have special shapes or body features? Do they have unique colors? Draw pictures of these in your science journal. Until next time, I'll be seeing you.
Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and watch a social studies video. We're going to be talking about life then and now. How does life change throughout history? So as we're watching this video, go ahead and think about how life has changed. Think about how phones used to be in the past and how they are now. You can even think about how cars have changed.
How does life change throughout history?
Well, I'm not really sure about that because I haven't learned history yet. When I go to school, I ride my mommy's car. People find history in museums, in books, and in a computer. A long time ago, people didn't have computers. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Pilgrims, they sailed on a boat to where the Native Americans lived. It was us Americans. There was a king, and he was so demanding. And so then they sailed away, and so then they were at America, and so then they started a new life. Well, I know George Washington, the first president, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King. History is the past.
Okay, see you tomorrow.